Well, it's happened again, eh? For the second time this season, Michael Beale has been relieved of his managerial duties, this time by Sunderland, who have sacked him after just 12 matches in charge of the club. That makes it a double sacking for Beale in the 23-24 season, with Rangers moving him on back in October after 10 months at the helm, following an atrocious start to the season which saw Celtic race to a 7-point lead at the top of the SPL. I'm Hoopsa, and as a QPR supporter, a club where Beale looked like he might actually have some success before he decided to throw that all away by jumping ship for Rangers, I thought it'd be interesting to talk through this one. What's next for Sunderland? What's next for Beale? And if you enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Beale joined Sunderland just 2 months ago, replacing the pretty popular Tony Mowbray after he was sacked by the club, a decision that many found pretty harsh given that he had led the club to the playoffs last season, in their first season back in the Championship since 2018, and they were 9th and just 3 points outside of the playoff places when they moved Mowbray on. They had started to slip from that bright start they'd had at the beginning of the season. Mowbray himself had put this down to the youth and inexperience of the squad, but the owners and sporting director Speakman decided that a change was needed to keep them on the front foot and stop them from slipping any further. So, with the ambitions clearly being set on promotion, Sunderland fans waited with bated breath to see who would be the new man to lead them to playoff success. And to their disappointment, it was none other than Mick Beale. Now, I would say all of us QPR and Rangers fans would have said this is all going to end in tears, which we did, but I think most of the Sunderland fans knew that was going to happen, judging from the response on social media on the day of his announcement. After Beale's poor stint at Rangers, the Black Cats fans were by no means overawed by this announcement and made their views very clear on the club's social media. I'm not sure I've ever seen a fan base so clearly against a managerial appointment before, but you can't blame them when they were being promised a progressive coach who was going to lead them to promotion, and instead ended up with a man who jumped ship from one club 12 months before, with that club at the top of the Championship, for another club that he would be sacked from just 10 months later. So it was absolutely no surprise that the anger of the Sunderland fans would multiply after Beale's first match in charge would end with a 3-0 home defeat to Coventry. And although he would ease complaints over the next 3 matches with 2 wins and a draw, most fans were not pleased to see this style of football. And so complaints would quickly return with back-to-back losses against playoff contenders Ipswich and Hull City. And although he would gain a further 2 wins and a draw against Stoke, Borough and Plymouth, back-to-back losses against Huddersfield and Birmingham over the past week have been the straws to break the camel's back. And so Sunderland have moved very quickly to relieve him of his duties, with Beale not taking the club in training today. So that makes it 4 wins, 2 draws and 6 losses for Beale in his short time in charge of the club. And that of course includes the 3-0 home defeat to Newcastle United in the FA Cup. And clearly it's not just the Sunderland fans that had a problem, it was the players too. So much so that Alex Pritchard refused to play for the club and just a week later was sold permanently to Birmingham, being reunited with Tony Mowbray. It was a really questionable decision to put him in place of Mowbray, though we know from interviews that he has a bit of a silver tongue, he kind of talks the talk, so he probably did interview well with the club. But other than that, it's really hard to see what the Sunderland owners saw in Beale. Amazingly, he hasn't actually done too much damage, because although Sunderland currently sit in 10th place, they're actually only 4 points outside of the playoff places, although there are of course a few other teams vying for a place themselves. Get that next appointment right and they could still have time to salvage their run for the playoffs. But make another poor choice and the fans are going to be really angry at a pretty wasted season overall. The bookies' favourite is once again Will Still, and close behind are Paul Heckingbottom and Steve Cooper. Will Still was pretty dismissive of his links the last time round, and after this disaster over the past 2 months, I could imagine Sunderland will want to opt for somebody with a bit more experience to come in and steady and steer the ship back onto course. They need to get this one right though, because Alex Neil's quick departure at the start of last season means that this is going to be their 4th manager in under 2 seasons. And we've seen with my club QPR that kind of upheaval does no club any good. So what about Michael Beale himself? Well, I can't imagine many clubs, at least in England, will be touching him with a barge pole for a long time. He showed his character at the end of 2022, leaving QPR at the top of the Championship for Rangers when they came calling, after just 22 matches in charge, having pled loyalty to the club when he was linked with Wolves just the month before. That might sound like a bit of bitterness if you're not a QPR fan, but QPR were the first club to offer him an opportunity to be a first team manager. He'd previously only been an assistant. So to jump ship, which was pretty much the first domino on near relegation last season, and a relegation battle this season was really disappointing. He was quickly sussed out at Rangers though, with a second place finish last season, and his poor tactics at the start of this season meant that Celtic raced to that 7-point lead at the top of the table. And you only have to look at how easily his successor Philippe Clement has undone that damage, with Rangers now top of the table and 2 points clear of Celtic just 3.5 months later, to see how badly he did at that club. I think he's been very quickly sussed out, and unless he takes a job in the lower leagues in England or moves out to Europe, I can't see him getting another job anytime soon. Though given he seems largely motivated by money, perhaps a link up with his old pal Gerrard in Saudi Arabia would be a more suitable fit. So, there's my 2 cents on this. What do you reckon on Beale? Is it harsh from Sunderland to sack him too soon, or was it important to stop the damage being done as soon as possible? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you have enjoyed this video, please do like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers!